Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursday. Very glad you're with us today. It is April 7th, 2022. Please note this event is currently being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. And you're welcome to put in your contact information so you can network with other people who are on the call today. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please just put them in the Zoom chat window. For those watching on Facebook right now, please just put your questions into the comment field. We are monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. During the second part of this presentation, we will review one or two resumes depending on how much time we have. If you'd like to submit your resume, if you're on Zoom, you're welcome to submit your resume using the chat box. I would delete your header information. It's okay to leave your name, but I would delete your phone number, email address, LinkedIn profile. If you want to delete your name, that's fine also, because just remember this information will be published on the Facebook and YouTube videos. So if you'd like to do that, just open up the chat box at the very bottom. You see what says file, it has a little piece of paper. Just click on that and then you can attach it and send it to me if you'd like. You can just send it to Jeff Morris, host. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I'll sell it to you cheaper than you can buy it on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. And I'll tell you about our program that we have coming up tomorrow at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. You've got to remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile will not get you a job. They only get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, it's what's going to get you a phone call. All right, give me a second here. I want to go ahead and download these two resumes I've got. So give me just a second. All right, I've actually got three of them, so I don't know if we'll have time to get to all three, but we will take a look. All right, thank you. So we've got our resumes that we need for the day. All right, let me switch. So here is what our agenda is going to be today. We are going to, let me see here, get this up. Our agenda is we're going to talk about the ATS system. Then we'll talk about a one-page bio. We'll talk about a master resume. Then we'll talk about the key components of a resume, and we'll look at them all the way through. And then we will go and review a couple of resumes that people have sent in. So I always love this little cartoon here because I think it's very, very effective. I mean, you know, when you send the resume in, why are you sending a resume in? You're hoping to be the resume that they remember. So what is it you're going to do? What is it you're going to make it clear enough for them so that they'll want to call you and reach out to you? So with an ATS system, you've got to remember the following things. The first thing is parsing. Parsing is where you upload a resume and then the ATS system goes and pulls information off your resume and sticks it in different fields. Sometimes it works, many times it doesn't work. There are well over 100 different ATS systems out there, and every system handles things a little bit differently. You want to make sure you don't use any special characters or any special formatting because there's so many different systems out there. You never know what's going to work or not work. You want to make sure you do not use a header or footer because a lot of those programs are not going to recognize those kinds of things. And to me, the most important thing here is all about keywords. You have got to make sure that the keywords align to the job description. We'll talk more about that at the very end of this, but you know, keywords, if they're asking for it in the job description, you've got to make sure that you've got those keywords in your resume. There's a great program out there called jobscan.co, and it is just .co, not .com, where you can go and you can put in your resume, and then you fill in the job description, or you copy and paste the job description in separate field, and it'll go and compare those things for you. Now, JobScan will allow you to do, I believe, 5 per month, but I think if you clear your cache, then you can get 5 more, and you clear your cache again, you get 5 more after that. So it's a great way to do it. Now, remember, when you're filling in the job description, don't fill in the whole job description, just fill in the important parts. You don't need to fill in like, you know, we're EEOC, and this is your vacation, and this is all those other benefits and salary requirement or salary things. Just fill in the meat of the job description. That way your resume will have a better chance of matching it up. A lot of times they're going to want you to also attach a resume, and this is when you send that pretty resume that in many cases, I like, if they'll accept a PDF, I like sending a PDF form because it looks good. I've talked to a lot of recruiters. Most recruiters do not open up the ATS system to see what the keyword match is. So they get, you know, they've called up the job, and they've got 200 people that have applied for this job via the ATS system. The ATS has gone through, picked out what it thinks is the top 10 people, well, they picked out, they put them in numerical order, 1 through 200. And then the recruiter starts looking. Well, the recruiter's not going to look at all those parsed fields. What they're going to do is they're going to click on, let me see the attached resume, and they're going to look at that resume to see if there's something there that catches their eye or something that makes them go, nope, I'm on to the next resume. So very, very important that you send a, you know, your resume is clean and easy for people to read. And then if the ATS system asks for a cover letter, submit a cover letter. You want to submit a T cover letter, because a T cover letter states on the right-hand side, this is what you're looking for. I mean, on the left-hand side, this is what you're looking for. On the right-hand side, this is how I meet those needs. Okay, so you've made it easy for them to stand out. A lot of recruiters will not read a cover letter, but a lot of hiring managers will read the cover letter. So here's a few, so a little bit more advice about ATS systems. You want to keep the big picture in mind. You, number one, upload a resume that has no special formatting. You want to review the information that's been uploaded, make sure that all the correct fields are in the correct places. I know of people who've submitted their name was John Smith, MBA on their profile or on their resume. And when it parsed into John is their first name and MBA is their last name. So make sure that you go look at all the fields to make sure things get put in the right place. Number 3, contact, and this is really important. Contact a person to let them know you meet the requirements. If you meet 70, 80% of the requirements, go on LinkedIn, see if you can find a first or second level connection at the company, if you know who that person is, and say, you know, I meet the need, you know, I fill out an application and I can do the job for you. Please look at my job posting. And you mentioned make sure you keep the requisition number so they can look it up. If you can't find a first or second level connection, you can help hand walk a resume into the hiring manager, HR department. Reach out to the recruiter who posted the job. Let them know. Save them some time. This is Jeff Morris. I just want you to know I filled out a position for your production manager job, requisition A49627. I'm your person. I can do everything you're looking for in your job description. And then the third thing is, if you can't find a recruiter who posted the job or a first or second level connection, try looking up on LinkedIn a recruiting or talent acquisition leader. Find a recruiting manager, find a talent acquisition manager. Same thing as a recruiter. The reason being, if you find that supervisor or manager, even if it's not in the department that they're necessarily trying to fill, it's not the recruiter doesn't work for that particular person. What will usually happen is it'll get passed on to the right person. So that's a great way to let them know that you're that you know what you're talking, that you can do the job. Here's some guidance from the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. Number one, you want your resume easy to read. Make it easy for somebody to read and understand what it is you do and how you can help. You have got to make sure it's free from spelling, punctuation, and grammatical errors. Think about it. Recruiters got 200 resumes, used to be on their desk, now on their computer. All they're looking to do is try to find 5 to 10 that they want to look at more closely. So what are they doing? They're scanning through real quickly. As soon as they see a mistake, boom, you're in the reject pile. So no spelling, punctuation, and grammar. We'll talk a little bit more about grammar in a second. You want to make sure you spell out any acronyms. You can be part of the AMA, American Medical Association, or the American Museum Association. I mean, AMA's got like 14 or 15 different titles. So be aware that when you're using any kind of acronym, you should always spell it out the first time. You want to make sure you focus on skills related to the targeted job. We'll talk about a master resume in a second, but when you've got to make sure that the keywords match whatever skills they're looking for, that you're talking about the exact same thing. You want to make sure you include quantitative and qualitative accomplishments. Results sell. If you don't have results in your bullet points, it reads like a job description. You tell me what you've done or what you were supposed to do. I don't know how well you did it though. But when you give me some accomplishments or some quantitative statistics, I then can go, I need somebody who can do that for me. And make sure no graphic pictures, underlines, or boxes, because an ATS system will mess it up. So, I mean, one of the things underlined is if you have your resume, you've done it on Microsoft Word, as soon as you type in your email address, it automatically makes it a hyperlink. Or the same thing with your LinkedIn profile. Go hover over it, do a right click, and remove hyperlink, because that underline will mess up some ATS systems. Not all, but just some. Okay, a resume versus a one-page bio. When you send the resume out, you're saying, I need a job, help me. Look, I'm trying to find, you're looking for a job and you're focusing on work history details and your credentials. It is a job search tool, but a bio, a one-page bio, can be an extremely effective tool for networking because you can use it in lots of different situations. It focuses on your major accomplishments, but it doesn't say, hire me, I'm looking for a job right now. So if you're initially reaching out to somebody to do an information interview or to do that initial LinkedIn connection, send a one-page bio, because that would tell somebody what it is you do at a high level, but it doesn't scream, I'm looking for a job. A bio has a picture, a resume does not. So here's a sample. I've got 2 different sample bios here, and I'll put both of them in the chat window if you'd like to download them. So here they've got a picture on here, a couple areas of what they do. You can see here areas of what they do. We talk about their background. So here's a quick overview of who this person is, a little bit of a professional background, so to say, so they can talk about what it is they've done, listing their education, contact information, very, very important. And then a couple bullet points as far as what they've done in different areas. Okay. Here's a different bio. This person likes to do them horizontally because it stands out from the vertical pile. Now, the biggest difference is this one has target companies. Now, instead of a bio, some people call this a marketing plan because you've told people what you're looking for. Well, this is fine to do by listing these things. Whoops, go back, sorry about that. By listing these things, this is fine if you're not networking with anybody who works at one of those companies. Because if you're applying at one of these companies or you're sending this to one of those companies, you want to make sure that their name is at the very, very top. And if you're applying at PepsiCo, you may not want to put down Coca-Cola on here because going, well, why do you want to work for the competition? So personally, I would say this is fine if you're sending it out generally to a bunch of your contacts. But if you're specifically targeting somebody who works at a company to do an information interview, I would remove these target companies. Don't list those because it just risks the opportunity of, if you know there's a job opening at that company and you're interested in working at that company, it could backfire on you. And there's a story that Jay Frisero tells about that he went and used his marketing plan, sent it to a company, or had a sit down interview with somebody, and the guy says, well, you know, your bio is really nice, but you know, it doesn't look like you want to work at this company, because he forgot to list that particular company as a target company. So he sort of shot himself in the foot by doing that. Okay, let's talk about a master resume for a second. A master resume.
Jeff?
Yes, go ahead, James.
Hey, I just want to mention that I ordered that book you recommended. I just want to let everybody know it's that B Sharp.
Oh, okay.
Book. So you're right. It has a lot of good samples in there, examples of what you were talking about, the bio.
Great. I wish I made a commission on that book.
But,
I recommend it all the time, and yeah, that's great. Yes, I'm glad you really liked it. Yeah. So there's a book out there called B Sharp. It's by Minna Brown, and if you're interested in getting it, it's a great book on Amazon. James, thank you for the comments. And the first part of the book's really good too, because it talks about how to introduce yourself to somebody. So if you haven't done that, it's really a great book. All right, let's talk about a master resume for a second. A master resume could be 10, 15, 20 pages long. I think a master resume should be everything you've ever done since you graduated college. And you can include stuff in college if it was co-ops and things that are important. You put 8, 10, 15 bullet points. You put all the names of your supervisors, the addresses, the exact dates that you worked. You put all the detail in it, but you never send that document out. What you send out is when you see a job description, you then go and you eliminate everything that's not applicable to the job description. Delete it off the resume. So if you get it down to 1 page or 2 pages, perfect, because now you've told them exactly what it is you've done that equates to the job book, or it equates to the job description. And this is just a great tool to make sure that the resume matches the job description. So I know personally, I've got a whole file of resumes since 1980 when I first started looking for my first job. You know, back then you took them to a printing place, they typeset it 1 page, you know, but I've taken all those. I have a master resume, so if I had to send something out to somebody, I can go and eliminate those things that are unimportant. Okay, some characteristics of a good resume. Number 1, the goal of a good resume, and we're talking here about an ATS system, is to make it easy for the ATS system and job screeners to determine, that you're a good match for the job. So it's very, very important. Formatting, plain, simple, easy to read, easy for the ATS system to get. The overall length, 2 pages, maybe 3. 3 is fine. If you're applying for a government job or an education or an academic job, they usually want to see everything. So your master resume has everything. You just eliminate, supervisors' names, maybe eliminate a few bullet points that don't really relate. But, if you've got your master resume, you're good to go for those kinds of jobs. So one of the things that's always a question, how many years do you put on a resume? 10 to 15, whatever. So I've got a couple options. And if you'd like to, in the chat window, you're welcome to put in option A, B, or C. Option A, show all of your experience. Option B, show only the most recent 10 to 15 years of experience. Or option C, show all the details plus, 10 to 15 years, plus have a section called prior relevant experience. So tell me what you all think. Please put that in the chat window. C, B, B, C. All right, so nobody thinks A, show all your experience. So B, a couple of people said most recent 10 to 15 years, and four of y'all think prior relevant experience. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I think it's whatever you feel comfortable with. But here's the thing about C. If you pick C, you show the most 10 to 15 recent years. But it's important, if you're going to do that, to have a section called prior relevant experience. And here's why. All you do in that prior relevant experience is list the company and the title, your job title. No dates. You don't have to have any bullet points. Just, job, name of the company, job title, company, job title. The reason for that is if you happen to tell a star story during an interview and it's not listed in that 10 to 15 years of experience, the interviewer is going to go, well, wait a second, I don't see where you did, what job was that at? Well, that's not even on your resume. That's not on your resume. You're confusing me. So by listing prior relevant experience and putting those job titles and company names there, that gives you permission to bring up a story from before that you can then use during an interview. So that's just my opinion, what I think you should, do. But it's not wrong. I mean, I know some people who have put all their experience because that's really is what worked, and that got them a job because they listed everything on there. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answer here. All right, fonts for your resume. Your resume needs to be Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, maybe Helvetica. I don't like Times Roman, Garamond, or Calibri or Cambria because I don't like serifs. I think Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, and Helvetica, they're plain, they're simple, they're easy to read, okay? So you don't want to pick anything fancy. I mean, there's the Comic Sans, there's all these other great ones you can use, but keep it clean and simple. Very important, because a recruiter is going to spend 7 to 10 seconds looking at your resume. They're going to scan a resume, make it easy for them to read. You want to make sure you have that generally your margins are 1 inch, right, left, top, and bottom, because you want to leave a little room for them. White space is good. You don't want to take your resume and, well, I'm trying to fit it down to 2 pages, and you shrink it down from a 12 point to 11 point to 10 point to try to make it fit on the 2 pages. That's not necessarily the best way to make that work. You do not want to have bullets, bold, underline, italicized, shadows, or graphics, because you want to, once again, they're going to make it easy. They want to make it easy. If you're going to use a bullet, the bullets that you see here is just the little dot is the only thing you should really use, because that's what's acceptable. All the ATS systems will recognize it, and just make it simple for somebody. Don't use a text box, no headers or templates, as we've talked about. I know a lot of people, especially new graduates, they go to Microsoft Word and open up, they're going to build a resume, and they use the resume template that's in Microsoft Word. Don't do that. As I said, resumes are scanned. So here's a resume. What they did was they put a little eye tracker on the reviewer. And as you can see here, the red spots is what they looked at the most, yellow second, and then the blue is where they just sort of scanned at. So as you can see, they're looking at that first job, they're looking at the second job, they look at the first few words in that line. They go down, they look at the education, they go look to see any skills at the very, very bottom. So this is, at the hiring manager will read the resume a little bit more. And if you make it past that first round of 200 resumes down to 10, the recruiter may spend a little bit more time looking at those 10 resumes than what they, than that initial flushing out. If you have a gap, so let's say you haven't worked for the last 2 years or 3 years, or you took some time off, what can you fill the gap with? Well, number one, you can fill it with a job title such as community leadership. Tell us something you've done. You've done consulting. If you've been consulting for several different companies, my recommendation is you put all that consulting under one listing, because if you list 8 or 10 different, 2 or 3 or 4 month contracts, it makes you look like a job hopper where if you put it under consulting, under one thing, it groups it together and it shows some continuity. Continuing education, if you've done something, you can list something like that. So let's see here. Here's an example of somebody who's done this. This is community leadership and consulting. Served as a panelist and coach for the Dallas practice interview team to help job seekers with their interview skills. They provided consulting services to a local nonprofit. It happened to be a church, but they don't want to mention a church because you never know. You could be thrown out because it could have been the Church of Latter-day Saints and you're a Catholic or whatever, who knows, whatever. You don't want to offend anybody. So they just said a local nonprofit on how to prepare to conduct job interviews and how to evaluate candidates. So that's the way you can do it. I know I've seen on some resumes that people have taken time out to take care of a sick parent. They've listed that, and you can down, you took time off to take care of a parent. You're responsible for doctor's visit, list a couple of things for scheduling, for paying all the bills. But the very last bullet point always has to be the situation has been taken care of, or I'm no longer responsible, to do this anymore. Make sure you gotta let somebody know that it's come to fruition, that it's complete. All right, so we're going to talk about the key components of a resume. We're going to talk about header, the summary section, the key accomplishments, which is an optional section, professional experience, prior relevant experience. We'll show you how that works, education, and software skills. So at the header, name, phone number, city, state, zip code, email address, and LinkedIn. Make sure that email address and LinkedIn address, make sure they're not hyperlinks. Okay, we make sure to do a right click on it. If you're using Microsoft Word, remove the hyperlink. You don't need to put your street address on there. This is a document to get them to call you on the phone. This isn't a job application. It is important that you put a zip code because a lot of recruiters search by, show me 25 miles around 75201, around a zip code. That's how they'll do their search in there. So you want to make sure that your contact information, no physical address is needed. Just make it simple. Also, use the name you want to be called. If you're down, Joseph P. Smith, but you like to be called Joe, just put down Joe Smith. That's all you need to do. If your name's unusual or if it's hard to pronounce, in parentheses, put it in phonetic spelling so that somebody can figure out, make it easy for somebody to reach out and call you. Okay, underneath that, you're going to have now a summary. A summary is not an objective. It's not what a company can do for you. This is what you can do to help a company. So in this particular job, the person's applying for a business analyst job. So they started out with an action verb, very important to start. You try to use action verbs a lot throughout your resume. Innovative business analyst with a proven track record. And you'll see when we compare this to the job description, how these terms all match up. The next thing is you want to make sure you have some areas of expertise. I say 9 is the number. 6 is okay, 9's fine, not more than 9. But the most important thing is, if I was to ask you during a practice interview team, what are the three areas of expertise that you're what are your top 3 areas of expertise? It better be the top 3 here or the top 3 listed over here. Don't go tell me you're good at improving processes, developing test plans, and consumer-facing roles, because why didn't you list that at the very, very top? Okay, so your best skills need to be on the top or on the side. Now, this is an optional section, and usually only salespeople do this because they're trying to show, business development salespeople are trying to show this is what they've done at different companies. Now, all of these bullet points should also be underneath their job, but they're just trying to highlight it to let somebody know that, hey, here's what's really big. Now, I have a problem with recognized as the top salesperson in the Southwest region in 2019. I would like to see it recognized as the top salesperson out of 200 in the Southwest region. Give me a frame of reference to let me know what that really, really means. That's really, really important. Okay, so now we're going to talk about professional experience. So this is the main part of your resume, okay? Number one, you want that resume to be in chronological order. Nobody likes functional resumes. It just hides. That's what you do, a functional resume to hide something. So people want a chronological resume. You want to make sure you use parallel verbs. Now, what do I mean by parallel verbs? So in the current job here, you can see the ones that are underlined in red: analyze, ensure, and serve are all current. They're all current terms. Everything in blue: achieved, engaged, translated, reduced, facilitated, and saved, they're in past tense. So you've got to make sure that when you talk about a job that's been in the past, that all the verbs are in the past. Now, that achieved in that first job, so that was a project the person may have done 2 years ago. So it's no longer an active project. That's why you can use both current tense and past tense there. You want to include a one-line description of the company. I think it's really, really important. I've been doing this for over 13 years now, and it amazes me every Friday when my Friday networking group lists companies that they're interested in. It's like, I've never heard of that company before. What do they do? So, just be aware that it would be very beneficial for you to list one line or just to say what the company does. Limit the number of bullet points for every job. Let's see here. Here we go. Limit the number of bullet points for every job. I would say, 4 to 5 for the current job, and then 3 to 4 for the past job, and then 2 to 3 for the job before that. And all those bullet points have got to relate to the job. As we've said, very, very important. And most important, you've got to focus on results. I want to know what it is you can do for me. I don't want to read your job description. Okay, so under professional experience, a little bit of details. We say limit the bullet points to 5 to 6 bullet points. The bullet points have to focus on results, and they should not read like a job description. Okay, save the company $5,000 by evaluating risk. Reduce data migration time by 90%. Translated stakeholder requirements info into 10 deliverables. Give me some meat. Give me some reason why I should say, I want to call you because I need you to do that for me also. So here's something that's always an interesting game. It's called the so what game. For every bullet point on your resume, you should read it and say, so what? What was the result? Why am I talking about this? Okay, results sells, we said. So here's an example. Somebody put originally guided the next phase of brand evolution for a multimedia artist and managed their film production and publishing. So what? Well, the person said, well, this increased the business opportunities, which led to 10 new commissions for my client. So they rewrote it, and it now reads, increased business opportunities, including 10 new commissions for my client based on developing a full social media and PR strategy. So adding results tells me what it is you can do. And I talk about that, and I know I've said that over and over again, but that's what's so very, very important. Keywords and results. All right, so let's say you've had multiple roles at one company. Here's what you want to do. You want to list the company once with the full range of dates. So as you see here, company B, city, state, 2010 to 2014. And then what you're going to do, so it's for the whole thing. Then for the roles that you had at the job from 2012 to 2014 and 2010 to 2012, list those next to the job title. Because if you had those dates all the way out to the right-hand side, it would make you look like a job hopper. But here it shows that you have some continuous time at one place. What do you do for companies that have changed names? So you have a couple options. You can list the current name of the company followed by the old name, XYZ Incorporated, formerly ABC Corporation, or give the old name, ABC Corporation, acquired by XYZ in 2008. Which way do you want to do this? To me, it's whichever name is most widely known. A couple years ago, we had a gentleman on who worked at the company used to be called Campbell Soup. Everybody knows what Campbell Soup is, but that company got acquired by Company A, and then that Company A got acquired by Company B. I'd never heard of Company A or Company B's name. I'm not in the food business. I wouldn't have recognized it. So I recommend to the person, put down Campbell Soup, acquired by XYZ and whatever, because that's going to be recognizable. My daughter used to work when she got out of college. First job out of college, she started to work for IBM. That's a brand name. If IBM was ever bought by another company or it was spin off into something else, everybody knows what IBM is. They're not going to know what XYZ company is. Okay, it's doubtful they're going to know that. Okay, education and software skills. You want to list your degrees. Degree, major, city, school, city, state. You don't have to put the date on there unless it's recent. So if you've been working for 20 years and you just went back and got your MBA, you may want to list that because you want to just show somebody that you just recently completed that. Any software skills that you have, list those down there. On your master resume, you should have 20 or 30 or 40 different skills, all the different programs that you used. And then when you fill out that job application, when you're matching it to the job description, you only pick out the ones that are important. You don't need to list Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint if you're in the C-suite, because if you're a CFO, you better know how to use Microsoft Excel. Just accept, you've got to know those things. But if you're an admin, you may want to say, yes, you're experienced in Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Project, or Access, whatever those things are. Add those in there to make it easy. If you don't have a degree, what you want to do is just list school, city, state, and then the major or area of concentration, how many hours you have so far. Okay, so here's a job description on the left, a resume on the right, or at least the first page shortened down of a resume on the right-hand side. So we're going to look at keywords here. So the company is looking for a business analyst, so the person put business analyst on their profile. Now, you only can do that if you've been a business analyst. You don't want to say you're a business analyst and you've never been one before. All right. And then you see right there after innovative on the in their summary, they put business analyst again. Business requirements. They're popping that in there to make sure that shows up. They think, they looking at that first paragraph of what's important. Improving processes and make sure that that's one of their skills, making areas of expertise showing that. Cross-functional, getting those keywords over there. Agile, Scrum, Visual Studio, making sure that those are listed so that it makes it easy for somebody. Keywords, keywords, keywords. Multiple sources, user manuals. If the way, whatever they term it, you make sure you do the same thing. If user manual has a dash, you make sure that your user manual has a dash. If they don't do that. Make sure it matches so that you'll match in the ATS system. Business process flowcharts, business process flowcharts. Make sure you're using the same words all the way across. So remember, keywords are very, very important. Resumes are scanned, they're not read initially. A resume will not get you a job, it only gets you a phone call. That's why we say practice your interviewing skills. And you'll never know why they called you. So to me, a really important thing is when somebody reaches out to you, hey, James, I see that you've applied for a project manager job. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? What I would always do is ask them, hey, thanks for calling. So what was it on my resume that made you reach out? You never know what it was, what word on the resume, what skill that you had on there. Because when you find that information out, then you know what to talk about when you're talking to the recruiter. So to me, really, really important. When they call you up, and even they say, hey, we saw your profile on LinkedIn. Oh, so what was it, thanks for reaching out. What was it about my LinkedIn profile that made you pick up the phone and call? Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of resumes. Let me end this. Give me a second here to get these, get this open. All righty, let's see here. And all right, I'm gonna get this up here so we're not looking at his title here. So this is the first resume that was submitted. If you have any comments, you're welcome to put them in the chat box, or you can open your mic and let me know. But let's go down and look here. So Senior Vice President, Asset Management, Lincoln Property. Personally, I would flip that and I would list Lincoln Property Company first, and then have the dates next to that. And then underneath it, list Senior Vice President of Asset Management. So your responsibilities: management, leasing, construction, development, asset class, tells people portfolio size. So I understand that in asset management, those are all technical things that other people are going to recognize. So this resume is a little bit different because you're sending this out to other people who are going to realize exactly what this means. And these are the important terms in asset management that are necessary. You know, they're going to see these terms and they're going to know exactly what you're talking about. This is not what we normally talk about in a resume. But like I said, I would flip the name of the company up and move the title down here. But that's personally up to you. Once again, just my example. Sample accomplishments. I would not use the word sample, just say accomplishments. Everything has got, you're giving me numbers, you're giving me an idea. So you're telling me what it is you can do for me. Great. Additional experience. I like prior relevant experience. I just like the term, because additional experience, I don't know, it's up to you, but I like prior relevant. Once again, you've got your formatting is very consistent. So, you're welcome to leave it the way it is. I just recommend you put the company names first over the other thing. But this is a great way, because by doing this, everybody who's out there, by doing this like this, this allows him to talk about a story when he worked at Nationwide or when he worked at the Homes Group. He can go back and talk about something he did during an interview. Education, perfect. Licenses, wonderful. I like the resume. I think it's very consistent. I would be careful, with the hyperlinks. Sorry, I didn't mean to show your name and stuff. I'd be careful with the hyperlinks on your name, that you may name and email address. You may want to remove the hyperlinks, just because if you're submitting this to an ATS system, you never know. But if you're just sending this to a person, I think this is great. I like it. It's clean. I like the font. Yeah, anybody else have any comments about it? Unmute your mic and let me know.
I noticed there's at least one place where the verb tense on the third to the last bullet under the 2010-2014 director, it says hold/sell recommendation. Should that not be sold?
Oh, yes, that should be sold. Past tense, perfect.
And then also there's acronyms, like the very last bullet, there's a SF. I don't know if that's a common one or not, but there's some acronyms on there that, according to your presentation.
This is a resume that would only go out to somebody in the asset management, property management kind of business. And SF is square footage. So they would all get this. If you were sending this via an ATS system, I think I would spell out square footage the first time. But yeah, that was a good catch on that. Sell sold. Oh, wait, somebody put a note on here. Let me see here. Hold sell is the term used for the report. Okay. Wonderful. All right, so this is a term that would be used in, it's the name of a report that's used in this business. So that's why it's a hold sell report. Okay, great. No, I like it. I like it. Very, very good. Anybody else, any other comments anybody else has? All right. let me call up another one here. I'll look at number 2. All right, let me get back so you can share now. So this is interesting. My thought here is you never want to have more than 3 lines because people are not going to read a novel. Keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So whatever you can do to reduce that down to 3 lines would be much, much better. Core competencies. I tend, I don't think, if you just wanted to list strategic planner, cross-functional leader, implementation manager, as we showed in the sample, that's fine. Hopefully you've led more than 500 projects listed somewhere in through your resume. Servant leader, direct, data-driven. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of core competencies and achievements listed like this. I think it's a bit much. I think by listing a few words, it'll ring up a little bit more. So we're using Calibri, font 11, professional experience. All right, you want to move this. You want this to be over here, right, justified, because I look over here, I don't see anything. So I would move that part of it over. Get it over here so that it stands out. Oops. So, I mean, it's one of those spacing things you just have to work on to get everything to line up correctly. Or Texas, so I like this. You're sort of explaining what it is, what it is you're doing, and then you've got a full bullet points. But you led, create processes and procedures to support FDA launch requirements. So what? Give me some results. And it's a company-wide project to begin distribution of new antigen product. So what? Tell me how well. So you managed the project. What, were you able to do it in 4 months? Did it take you 6 months? Estimated to do 6 months, but we delivered in 4 months. Give me some meat. If possible. I see down here you've got a result, which is great, but any of these other ones, provided, any of these other ones, please read and go, what else is there? Okay, I'm sure since you got rid of your header information, it causes spacing to go a little goofy. So that's why, that's why this is not on the next line. Background. Once again, move the dates all the way out. So here you've got multiple dates. Move this over. So here you've got multiple dates inside the job. So that's why it's important to have that all the way over here, because these are inside. You don't necessarily need to put months down. I don't, on a application, you need months. It would give you a little bit more white space just to say 2015 to 2016. 2009. Now, if this is also with Becker, and this really should say June 2009, if I'm reading this right. So this is a June 2009. You worked for Beckman from 2009 to 2016. You did this part, and then you did this part here, if I'm reading that right. Too many bullet points here. If they're not asking for it, I would, eliminate bullet points that don't relate to what's going on. Leadership training, volunteer. I think your certifications need to go right up underneath education, because I think those are much more important. Leadership training and volunteer experience should be at the very, very bottom. volunteer experience is really an optional thing. I don't know if you even really need to list that because, and I know you're trying to relate to somebody and they say, you know, you can throw out one interesting fact, but are you still doing all of these things? Or are you currently doing, I mean, you're the adoption director and executive director? Or are you just, you used to do one? Pick one or two things to list that tells people what it is you do. Comments from anybody else?
Implementation in the title's misspelled.
Implementation in the title.
Missing a T. It looks like implementation.
Right, right. So I need to insert a T there. Also, and that was a good point. You had this slash right up next to things. This is going to prevent an ATS system from finding you because you've got to put a space on either side so that it'll find implementation or it'll find project management, whatever. But by putting it with no space, it's then looking for an implementation / project and nobody searches for that. So just be very careful to be sure to leave space on both sides. Anybody else have any comments?
Jeff, I have a question.
Yes.
You say, is there a great resource that for the ATS systems, for example, to where you can find out whether to put the space before and after the slash? Is there some kind of resource that can kind of help us with the ATS system do's and don'ts?
No, not that I've not that I've seen, not that I've read about or heard about. I think that's why I tell people you want to make sure your resume is as plain as simple when you submit your resume. And then when you attach a resume, you can put some prettiness on it, but you want to make sure that that resume that the ATS is going to parse is as plain and simple as possible because, and then just check all the fields. But being that there's over 100 different ATS systems, I'm sure some of these companies don't want to say how they do things. So we'd never really be able to find that information out. It'd be an interesting project to do. I don't know if you'd ever get it completed.
Okay, and then you indicated just use the years versus the month and the year. And also you're saying let that be to the right versus right next to it.
Yes, I mean, if it's for the total job here, you know, for the main job, I would list the job, I would make sure it's over here on the right. If it's, when we're looking like here, if I'm reading this correctly, you know, for Beckman Coulter, so this is the overall job that takes these two jobs, but then here is the job. This would just be for this one, and this is just for this one right here. So,
right.
You know,
So you're saying start with the date range is the beginning of the first one and the ending range is for the last one?
yes.
It shows all of the, you know, that 3 year, 5 year or whatever, the beginning to from the beginning date of the first one to the end date of the third position?
Yes, yes, because that way it shows that you're not a job hopper. That way it shows some consistency and it makes it clear for the recruiter that you're not hopping. Oh, I was there for a year and a half, there for 2 years, there for a year and a half.
Okay.
Oh, well, in reality, they were there for 6 years and they had 3 different jobs. Oh, good. You know, it just shows some longevity. It shows some consistency.
Okay, and then my last question, the bullets, you like for the third position there, the Abbott, the US, I guess it's US automation. Yes, are you saying that's too many bullets?
Way too many, way too many. Like I said, the first job you have listed over here, maybe 4, maybe 5 or 6 bullet points, and then 3 or 4, and then 3 or 4 for the next one, and maybe 2 or 3 or 1 and 2. So now if this is a master resume and you're going to be, you eliminate the things that are not talked about in the job description, that's okay. But if this is specifically for a resume that for a specific job, I doubt that in the job description, they're going to talk about all of these different things that they want to know about. List the 2 or 3 of the most important ones, the ones that are going to get you that phone call.
Okay, so are you selling yourself short if you only put 2 or 3?
No, the object is to get the phone call and get the interview. Once you get the interview, then you sell yourself. Like I said, what's a resume going to do? A resume only gets you the phone call. Okay. You've done, everybody here has done a lot of really, really great things over their work lifespan. But you only really want to tell a recruiter, hey, you're looking for this. This is what I can do. Now, if you're sending this resume because somebody said, hey, send me a resume with your experience, and you're sending it directly to a hiring manager or directly to somebody, that would be a different story. And you could probably send them more detail. But, you know, I mean, I understand 1997 to 2009. So, I mean, you were there for a long time, but I would, and you did a lot of great things. I know somebody, I'm jumping around here, but I know somebody who once said, I never send the resume out until I've had a phone call with somebody to find out what it is they're looking for. Because I only want to tell them, if I know what their pain points are or what they need me to come in and do, I'm going to talk about those things. So, you know, to me, I think this is way too many bullet points to have at the end. Okay. All right, let me close out of that for a second. And let me share some, I'm going to put in the chat window right now some files. We'll make sure it goes to everybody. Want to make sure you get a T cover letter. I want to make sure you get the sample resume. If you can't download them, you can send me an email. I'll be glad to send them to you. And then let me send you a bio. I'll just send you one of the 2 bios. If you want the other ones, you can reach back out to me and let me know. All right, so if you want to get a sample, if you want more of the documents or you want me to send them to you via an email, just send an email to resume@careerdfw.org and let me know that's what you're looking for, that you'd like to have the resume samples from today. I just want to, I'll get those documents to you. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, Rick Gillis from Houston, Texas will be with us. He's written a book called about accomplishments, job search, advancement, and fair pay. He's got some interesting statistics and numbers that he's going to pass along. So if you'd like to join us, please do. It will not be recorded. It won't be on the YouTube channel. Or not be on the, it'll be live on the Facebook channel tomorrow, but it'll be deleted after the event's over. Next Tuesday, Terry Sullivan will be with us for LinkedIn Tuesday to talk about how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Once again, he also does not allow the event to be recorded. So if you want to watch it, you'll have to watch it live on Zoom or Facebook. Next Wednesday, you'll be able to watch a practice interview. We had a great one this past yesterday. So join us again next Wednesday for another practice interview. And if you'd like to schedule a practice interview, you can go to www.dallaspitcrew.com and get all the information you need to sign up for a practice interview. Let's see here. Next Thursday, being the second Thursday of the month, we will take a look at networking. We'll have a speaker talking about networking, so please join us next Thursday. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Click on playlist, and that way every video I upload will go into a different playlist. This one will go up into the effective resume playlist this afternoon. Don't click on the video though. Click down where you see that red arrow. It says view full playlist, and up will come a list of all the different titles, topics, and speakers, and you can pick whichever video it is you'd like to watch. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. You can do so by signing up at Career USA, plus subscribe at groups.io to send an email there, and it will automatically sign you up to the group. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is every day you'll get the title of the day, the topic of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day, so you can join us by just clicking on that Zoom link. Please remember, Career FW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 13 years has been as a volunteer, just to help you land your next great job. Please consider making a donation. So thank you for joining us today. Amy, I will pop your resume up here in just a second as soon as I stop the recording. So we'll take a look at your resume here in just a second. For everybody else, thanks for joining us today.